Welcome to Saints on Cinema. Josh is opening his mouth like a freaking moron trying to throw me off with my intro, but you can't get me. I'm just flawless when I'm doing an intro to our show.
Very much so.
So anyway, so we're going to make this a quick one, right, guys? Because you guys always rattle on and talk way too much for my tastes.
Yeah, I agree.
It's going to be a short one. We are talking about the new movie that just came out of Clint Eastwood called Cry Macho.
You're super good at this.
120 episodes in, I should be like,
we're professionals.
Right. Anyway, Josh, you recommended we watch this movie, and then that was last week when we were trying to figure out our schedule for the next recording, which was yesterday, and then Josh postponed it till today, and he gave himself an extra day. And he how'd you do on watching this film that you picked for us to review?
Okay, let me just start by saying I first started watching this movie before anybody, and I was thoroughly disappointed, and I made the conscious decision not to watch any further.
So you watched it before you even told us we should watch it? Before you?
No. I'm just saying, of the three of us, I started watching it before everybody else. I was actually very excited about this. I love Clint Eastwood. Okay. I think everything he does generally is gold. So I was very excited about it. And I got about 15, maybe 20 minutes in, and I couldn't bear to watch it. It's just because, okay. All right.
Well, just before you go on with your part of your little portion, you can review the first 15 minutes, and just clarify. Ashley did not have a chance to watch it. She's been too busy with stuff, so she's just joining us because it's Ashley. We all love Ashley. So, Hi, Ashley.
Hi.
She's here. She's here for the 18 to 49 male demographic, really.
49.
18 to 49-year-old males.
In a decade, I'll have no more interest in our channel because I'll be too old to appreciate Ashley's awesome insights, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, Josh, go ahead with your review. First of all, tell me how far, story-wise, we're not going to talk about spoilers because Josh doesn't even know the spoilers.
Yeah. So I got to the point. I got to the point where they had basically just sat. The owner had come back, or the manager, or whatever you want to call him, came and asked him to go find his son in Mexico. And Clint Eastwood was like, talking to him about, well, why, he was explaining what he wanted him to do, basically. And Clint Eastwood was like, all right, I'll do it. Hobble, 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 hobble. I'll go do it. And he was like, there's a lot of guys that are better than me that could do this. And the guy was like, well, you have to do it so I can tell you everything about the backstory in the next 5 minutes, so that you can understand everything of why we're having this conversation. It's just I really don't like that. I really don't like when the first 5 minutes, the first thing that you see in this movie is Clint Eastwood comes in and he's just hobbling around, looking like a skeleton with skin, probably has dementia.
Oh, come on.
Oh, come on. You don't think so? Okay, he's 91.
I'll talk about his performance in a minute. Go ahead.
Okay. It looked like he was didn't even know the lines. He just I forgot what my line was. No, seriously, you know what he looked like? You know what he reminded me of? He reminded me of the dude who played the scary guy in Poltergeist 2 in this. He just looks like, I would not be surprised if he died tomorrow. That's how, I'm serious. I looked at it and I just was like, that is Clint Eastwood now.
Remember when you said when you weren't going to be able to record last night, I was like, well, I think we should get this recording out because it could be his last movie because he's not going to buy a lot. He could go in 2 months, and I was like, I'd feel bad if it was his last movie.
Yeah, no, he is for sure. He is definitely. I looked at it and I'm not exaggerating. I mean, I'm being kind of.
No, you're not, but
I'm not exaggerating. He really did look like he was busted up. If he was making a conscious choice, like a character choice with this guy. He did a fantastic job of convincing me that he was way too old to be doing anything. Like, you know, like he just did, like, and anyway, the thing was though, is it's not just that, it's that I felt like what I saw, I was so annoyed right out the gate. I hate when they do this where like he comes in and he's like, you know, the manager comes in, and by the way, the manager guy was a terrible actor too. Like he wasn't any good either. He comes in and he's like,
let me say one thing before you go any further. I just want to point out the scene that you're describing, that was the last, as far as you got into it, is literally the opening scene. You made it, no way you made it like maybe I think 5 minutes. That scene wraps up pretty close. He doesn't even get to Mexico. That's the next scene. He's like instantly in Mexico.
No, because here's the thing. The first scene is where he comes in and then he goes, I'm fired. Basically, takes a long time firing him, right? And he's going to fire him because he's a drunk, he's second rate, like he broke his back as a rodeo star, like all these things. You're drunk, you're on drugs, you're all these things, you're a terrible person, I hate you, I'm quitting, like I'm firing you. And then Clint Eastwood has
breaking Ashley's heart.
Yeah,
because you think you're describing Clint Eastwood, not the character.
No, I'm not describing, like the manager is describing the character. Like he's a broken down rodeo star who broke his back on a rodeo, like on a rodeo situation.
Okay, was that before the credits, the opening credits, when it went along the panel on the wall with the pictures and newspaper clips and stuff?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that scene I completely like blocked out of my mind because it was so dumb. And then,
but the whole purpose of that scene was like they were setting you so you understood Clint Eastwood's character is all jacked up because he broke his back and now he's a drug addict drunk who's got all these problems and he's a mess and he's being fired by this manager who kept him around for decades. And then he walks away, he goes, I always knew you were a spineless, you know, you were a spineless bag of bones, blah, 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 blah. I never wanted to say it. And then he just like walks away and I'm like, all right. And then he hobbles, walks away. And then all of a sudden, next thing you know, like it's a terrible situation. And then they come back and they're like 1 year later. And then he's sitting in that same place. And then the guy comes back a year later. And he's talking.
And you know,
they
filmed it like later on that day because like
it looks exactly the same. Nothing.
Like, go change your shirt and then come back.
Yeah. So then it comes back 1 year later, and he's like, "Oh, now I'm going to send you to Mexico to go find my son. You owe me because I kept you around for so long." And Cleese was like, "I guess I own you. I owe you. There's 100 guys out there that'd be better than me. I'm an old man." And I'm like, "Yeah, you are. You're not going to survive. You're not going to survive in Mexico." Look at this guy. Maybe
he was describing playing in this part. He wasn't talking about the character. He was, there's 100 guys that could be doing this part for me. But
yeah, he's like sitting there and he's like, I don't even know where I am right now. Like he's not even acting. He's not
all
even
right,
acting.
all right.
Like he probably sat there and thought that like, we were talking. This was a worse performance. Okay, I'm just gonna throw this out. Worse performance than even him being at the Republican National Committee talking to a chair that was supposed to be Obama. Like it was that bad. Seriously, like it was. It pains me because every movie that Clint Eastwood has ever made I've loved it. Like it's always been good. Gran Torino was great. Unforgiven was great. Like, I mean, Dirty Harry, In the Line of Fire. Like all those movies are fantastic.
What was the last? Well, I'm not comparing because I think the last Clint Eastwood movie I saw, and he's very active since then, but was I think $1 Million Baby literally was the last recent movie, which was like 20 years ago. What was the last movie?
I think Gran Torino was after that.
No, he's done a lot after that. I'm saying I've never watched them. I'm asking you, which ones have you seen since $1 Million Baby?
I've seen Gran Torino, and there's probably one or two that I've seen since. But I just thought that this was going to be like, I'm like, oh, this is Clint Eastwood in his element, right? Kind of a Western a little bit. Like, you know, crotchety old man. Like, we're going to get kind of Clint Eastwood, Gran Torino. In this one, it just seemed like he was, like I said, if he was supposed to make an active character choice, that like this guy was going to be like on the verge of dementia and just completely destroyed and broken down. No joke, like I'm just like, he needs an Oscar if he's not like, because I was convinced. I was like, Clint Eastwood is a broken down man. You know?
All right. So real quick, he was so that was 2008 with the one you're talking about.
Yeah.
Trouble with the Curve 2012,
Oh yeah, that was a good one too.
American Sniper 2014.
But he didn't act in that. He
Okay,
didn't
he
act
was-
in it. He
He
didn't
was a
act in it.
direct.
And The Mule, which I heard everyone talk about. I didn't watch it. I heard it was not very good. That was 2018. So I guess he's done one every 2-3 years. So
I didn't see The Mule, but I did see American Sniper and I loved it. And I did like Trouble with the Curve was a really good movie too. And it didn't get a lot of play. Like that movie was good.
okay.
We should
All
review
right.
that movie. Let's talk about that movie because that movie is good Clint Eastwood.
Okay, well I gotta watch it. I can't I'm not like you who's gonna review a movie I didn't watch.
Let's go redeem the dead.
Okay.
Or we have
All
to
right.
wait till next week when Clint Eastwood's actually dead. Then we can redeem him.
Oh, don't say that.
Okay. I just want to say right now that the comments of Josh regarding Clint Eastwood and his age, his decrepitness, his just dementia, and his acting skills do not reflect all of those in the panel on Saints on Cinema.
I am just saying, let me make this very clear. I am, of the three of us, I bet I am the biggest Clint Eastwood fan.
Probably. And I love him,
Yeah.
but probably.
I really like him. And I just
Ashley?
felt
Where do you
What?
stand on Clint Eastwood? Are you a big fan?
I am a fan. I wouldn't say big fan. I like Clint Eastwood.
Unforgiven. Okay, I gotta totally off, not super off topic. I remember.
Let's talk about this movie 40 years ago. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
no, I remember 6th grade. Okay. My dad, as a present for me for 6th grade, he was working out of town. And so he would go home, he would leave for the week and he'd come back on the weekends. My dad, as my 6th grade graduation present, I don't understand why he thought this was a present. He decided to take me with him for the week. And I just hung out at this place while he worked. I don't know. But as part of that, he said, we're going to go see 2 movies this week, which was a big deal for us. We didn't have a lot of money. And we usually didn't have 2 movies you'd see in the same week. And I went and saw Jurassic Park for the first time, changed my life. And I saw In the Line of Fire, which was a Clint Eastwood movie. And I loved it. And I even almost think, like when I had the choice between seeing the 2 movies, I wanted to see In the Line of Fire first. At 6th grade. That's how big of a Clint Eastwood movie fan I was. I love it. I love all of them. Unforgiven is one of my favorites. I love it. So yeah, I love Clint Eastwood. I hate it. Pains me to say the things that I'm saying. I'm just saying, it's time to hang him up, man.
My
It's to hang him
time,
up.
or my turn. Let me just say, I actually disagree with you very strongly. Now, yes, I felt like I was watching a very old man who was about to like fall over with every time he had to walk across.
First of all, I just want to make sure we put it on the record that Tim has disagreed with me, which is a rare occurrence. Okay, go ahead.
Well, I do agree. I did agree with you. He said that. I said we need to review this because it might be his last film. I wanted to make sure we were on record that yeah, we watched it to the end. Anyway, he did look really thin. Like his pants hiked up to his freaking chest. Like and when he walks around, he's wearing the cowboy attire. They're not known for very baggy clothes that like conceal much. He looked like he was about to collapse. Now, having said that, and I was like worried, and I thought his eyes are like black now. Like whenever he looks, they're like really. Oh, I was like, whatever there's words for that I don't know because I'm not smart. But he has old man eyes, right? However, when he sat down and he started talking, I never felt like he didn't know his lines or didn't know what was going on or was confused or anything. Every scene, I felt like he was so relaxed and so comfortable because he's such a pro and has been doing this for so long. Cameras on him or whatever, he can have just a regular, like a casual conversation with the kid, who's most of the movies with the kid. And it didn't feel like he was like trying to perform. He was just like so normal with it. And I actually really liked his acting in it. I did not like the dialogue. The dialogue in this movie was so lame, and he didn't write it. He directed it and produced and acted, obviously, but it was not his story. But it was such a dumb story. I can elaborate that on a little bit in a second, but I'm just gonna say his performance actually wasn't that bad. Now I agree with you in setting up the character. It shows him washed up, and when it did the opening credits, that little moment where it zooms in on the rodeo shot where where the horse fell over and like crushed his leg and everything in that black and white newsprint. Do you remember that? Did you even notice that part at the end of the credits? So it just goes through the wall with the newspaper clips and the photos, and then zooms in on that, and it shows.
Oh yeah, and then it shows him actually getting falling off.
That was pretty cool how that was done. I was like, oh, this poor guy, broken career, broken leg, whatever. Then he gets sent on this trip to Mexico, and now I suddenly felt like I was watching the last Rambo movie where it's the same thing. I need you to go down, cross the border, and you're a washed up guy with some skills, but I trust, I know to depend on you to come bring back my kid. And he goes on this mission, and it's not a spoiler, but the very next scene, he's already down in Mexico. He meets the mother, who's the contact, who she has a kid. She's like this big club owner, whatever, this gangster chick. She's in charge. She brings him in, sits him down, laughs at him for being this old man and everything, and then is like, "You're not leaving with my son. He's mine." And then, but like, she's like, "But he's like, where would I find him?" He's like, "Oh, he's probably at the what they call them, the cockfights, because he has. That's what Macho is. Macho's the name of his chicken, the rooster. He has a rooster that he does cockfighting." You never get to see a cockfight. I was a little disappointed in that because I was like, well, I thought this was going to be part of the drama or something, but whatever.
Ashley is appalled by that thought.
Right. Well, Ashley, I didn't want it to be graphic and stuff, but I thought there was going to be some relevance to this rooster, and there really wasn't.
You thought it was going to be one of those CGI cockfights.
No. Okay. Such a jerk. No, I thought you'd actually get to see the rooster be special. And you do. Okay, now I'm not giving it credit. But anyway, my point was about him. I felt like it was going to be like he was underestimated. They're like, you're in over your head. And then he was going to like show these like awesome old cowboy skills and this grit. Kind of like Jack Palance in the City Slickers movie, right? No. Like, there's a couple of times where he has a couple of punches thrown at him and he like even the kid attacks him when he first meets him. And he like dodges him. He's like, whoa, you're really fast for an old man. That's about it. There's a point where he grapples a gun out of a guy's hand. Very uneventful. There's a couple of scenes where there's some aggression, and it's like they tried to do that, but they didn't write any scenes for him to actually have any action, partially because it'd be unbelievable. But Josh, there is a scene where you have him on top of a horse breaking a horse in, because they get stuck in this little town in Mexico, short of the border. Their car's broken down, and they're there for a few weeks trying to get across the border. And as this old broken down rodeo guy, there's some horses there that are wild horses that aren't broken in. And he says, he tells them we're going to learn how to ride these horses. And you think that's because they're going to go over the border. They never actually ride the horses anywhere. They just have a couple of montage scenes of him training the kid how to ride a horse. But Clint Eastwood did actually get up on top of
this is the non-spoiler version.
That's not a spoiler. You can see in the
we're just telling everybody the whole.
I'm just saying, there's no scene where he rides a horse, or where there's no action sequence with him doing this stuff. I'm just saying.
He's explaining the whole movie.
The
next scene, and then the next scene.
I'm saying what doesn't happen. I'm not saying what does happen. The plot of the movie is they spend this time in this town. That's it. But I'm just saying that he does get on top of a horse, and it shows him actually riding around on a horse that is like 92 years of age. That's pretty awesome for the same guy that you think's going to trip on crossing the flat floor. So I got to give props to Clint Eastwood for getting back on the horse. And they talk about it I watched some behind the scenes stuff. They're talking about how natural he was, how the horses and the animals really did calm down around him and everything, and how great he is. Of course, they're going to say that about Clint Eastwood, but it was admirable to me that he did the film where he thought he was going to have a heart attack like in the middle of the film, but he still had the ability to get up on a horse and do some filming with it. The rest of the movie was dumb. It had this really dumb romance with him and this girl, this widower.
Was she also like 95 and
she was like
about to go?
She looked like she was in her 50s.
She wasn't also about to go with the angels,
No. So it was kind of weird. I mean, he looked like he was like twice her age, but she looked good for whatever age she was supposed to. But she looked like she was in her 50s. She had granddaughters. One of them was
good for whatever age she's supposed to be.
I gotta tell you, I don't even think he looked good for 92. I mean, like, look like I mean, seriously, like it wasn't even like, I mean, you know,
It made me sad.
compare it to the Quorum of the 12, right? Like Russell M. Nelson's 95 and he looks much prior than Clint Eastwood, you know? I mean,
Right.
And look, it doesn't like look, it does this is again, I want to emphasize that it does not make me feel good to say this about one of my heroes. I love Clint Eastwood. I was sitting there.
Then how about we say that he looks good for how old is he? 92. He's 92.
Yeah, something like that.
Smoked. He has smoked his entire life. That ages you like hardcore, and he's still alive. That's impressive.
If you guys want to make this all unicorn rainbows and everything, then that's fine. I'm just saying.
I'm not. He looks like he's about to die. And his acting was not in question.
I'm just saying, I was sitting there with my Sour Patch Kids, excited for this Clint Eastwood movie, and I was very concerned for the state of Clint Eastwood. That's all. Like, it just, the first few minutes, I'm sitting there and I'm like, oh my. Like he seriously, like he came on and I audibly said, "Oh my gosh!" Like
right. I know.
Wow, he is so old.
I know what you're saying. So I mean, there's not a lot more I can say, and I didn't spoil anything. Josh is just being. That's the plot of the story. That he's trying to get this kid back across the border. They say that's the mission in the very first scene, like we said. So it's just him doing it. The relationship with him and the kid is supposed to be like this built up, like he's kind of a little snot to him or unappreciative or whatever, or just kind of apprehensive about going across the border. But he's trying to get away from the mom, so he's just kind of whatever. That's what the whole Macho thing is. Macho is supposed to be strong, and so they have this ongoing dialogue that does not really connect or work about the relevance. He names the chicken is named Macho, and he says to Clint Eastwood, "You're not macho because you're old and weak." And the whole message is that the kid is trying to act macho because he thinks that's how he's going to make it in the streets. That's the lesson, is like, you gotta, well, I don't really know what the lesson is because it didn't execute anything at all. The movie was crap. I'm just going to say it right there. Cinematically, there were some gorgeous shots, but the scene and the story, it didn't go anywhere. It was, I mean, some people might feel warm, like remembering their grandparents or something watching this movie, or old cowboys that they knew from their hometowns if they were in those kind of areas. But I grew up in Colville and I didn't feel like heartwarmed or connected with anything I saw in this. But yeah, the story was dumb. Just little events happened. The scripting was not good. The script was really terrible. His dialogue was fine, or not the dialogue, but his performance was fine. And the kid did a pretty good job. And actually the roosters were awesome, because there's multiple roosters, I think, that played. And they like attack a guy in a couple of scenes. There's a part where it like jumps up onto the kid's arm. He like calls it and it jumps up on his arm and stuff. You'd really enjoy the chicken aspects, but that's only like for like 3 scenes that are like 10 seconds each.
And there's watch the whole thing for the chickens.
No, just the clips. But it's kind of cool, and he has he has this back and forth dialogue where Clint Eastwood was like making fun of the chicken, but then he's also like, he adores the chicken, and so it's just like whatever. It doesn't go anywhere. The whole story just doesn't work. It's not that interesting. Cinematically, it's good. Story-wise, sucks. Characters suck. It could have been something better if they actually run in all in, like Josh was saying, or like I was saying about him actually utilizing his background to be interesting instead of just kind of sad. But it was just like this weird broken up romance, and you didn't understand the motives of the kid or what was going on. It just was dumb. So celestial, terrestrial, telestial, I'd say telestial. I would never buy this movie, and I'm just really glad I didn't pay money to see it in the theater. And I advocate seeing everything you can in the theater when you're watching brand new movies like this, especially if it's on HBO. And it's just, when Warner Brothers is putting on the movies, just watch them there or watch them in the theater. But this one, I'm glad I didn't go pay to see. Other movies, I would have gone that first. I was just on a time crunch to meet Josh's quota of watching this movie before we recorded, even though he couldn't do the same.
Yeah, I did the same thing. I just said, I was like, this is not one. See, I'm of the opinion, this is what I do, right? If it's a movie that I would normally see in the theater, I will go to the theater. But if it's not, if it's one that I would wait, then if it's on HBO Max, I'll watch it, right? And this is one that I would not have seen in the theater. I would have waited and watched it, whenever it
when it's streamed, and that's
when it's streamed or when it was on Redbox or whatever. I wouldn't have ever gone to the theater.
You wouldn't have sought it out even on DVD or whatever. Yeah. So there you go.
I might have bought it. Like I might have bought it not knowing, because I just know Clint Eastwood movies. I was like, oh, this would be great. I'm really glad I didn't. I'm really glad this is not something I would. Quite frankly, I don't even think you want to watch it on streaming. I mean, like, I'm serious. It's sad.
If anyone's interested in Clint Eastwood, they can watch it because it's part of his. It's a sad part, and I don't mean sad like emotional, but like kind of depressing. Watching him in this stage of his life, still on camera. If you're a really diehard Clint Eastwood fan, I wouldn't say that.
If you've seen every single Clint Eastwood movie and you have to watch this to complete your collection before he dies tomorrow or the next day, then like, please go ahead and watch it. Otherwise, this is a very skippable movie. Like I could have gone my whole life without that 15 minutes that I watched. I mean, like, seriously, it was. I mean, I'm being funny, but I'm not. Like, I really do think, like, when I saw him, I was, what has happened to Clint Eastwood? Like, the man is he got cancer? Like,
it gets better.
You know,
there are a couple good scenes, and there's some little religious scenes in there too. They're like are kind of interesting. I don't remember.
Maybe he'll come out with another one. Maybe he'll come out with another one and redeem himself. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it was. I don't
think it's him that needs to be redeemed. I just think it was a dumb movie. I don't know why he.
Maybe. I disagree. I really think that he's slow. Like he talked so slow, and like I said, it could have been a character choice. And if it was a character choice, like.
The opening scenes were really slow and bad, but like I think there's some scenes that he did that he was good.
Maybe he got better. Maybe he got better over time. But what I saw, I was like, I don't need to see it again.
All right. Yeah. So T-Less rating from Josh. Only he says even lower than that. But
I'm not saying Outer Darkness. I'm not saying this needs to be thrown into the pit. But like.
Yeah, it's not an Outer Darkness movie.
But it's one of those where it's like, maybe if it's like
you're really curious about it.
Yeah, like you're like, okay, there's nothing else I want to watch, and the thousands of things streaming on all these platforms, I'll go ahead and put this on. Or you have like a YouTube TV or a Hulu Live, and you're flipping through channels, and it just happens to be on. You turn it on, and you can watch it for 10 minutes and see what I'm talking about. So you can come back.
Even then, I wouldn't watch it.
Yeah, so see, that's what I'm saying. You know what? Here's what I'm going to tell all these people: go and watch it, so that way you can actually comment on our YouTube and be like, okay, Josh is right, Tim is wrong. He really is that bad. If they're going to redo Poltergeist, he should be the Poltergeist.
Awful. Ashley, what are your feelings about it after having heard our comments? Not if you recommend the movie or not, but I mean, are you going to even attempt to watch this movie after what we just said? Did you have any answers beforehand?
No, I don't promote animal abuse, Tim.
There's no animal abuse. There's animal abuse.
Cockfighting.
They don't cockfight. All they do is there's a scene where they hold. This is early, very early. This is the second scene in the movie. They hold the cock. I'm sorry. I'm not cutting that. They hold the roosters like they're about to start a fight, and then like the fight gets interrupted. There's no fight. You don't see any cockfighting.
Just in case anybody thinks that our maturity level is our same age.
Hey,
you now know.
Every time I upload these, it says, "Is this video made for kids?" I'm like, no. Not when I'm gonna position my hands like this and talk about how they hold cocks. Out of context, that could go wrong, but I was talking about the cockfighting, and that's exactly how they hold it.
I'm telling you, whenever we get more fans, one day they're just going to clip that one thing, and Tim is going to be canceled.
Oh, you know how I know that's not true? because one, they'd have to be interested in watching this movie to watch our review, and no one's going to see this movie, so that will never happen.
That's true. And also, I think that is probably not the worst thing that you've said to be canceled for on our show. So
probably not. Actually, the movie was very heartfelt, where he kind of became a little animal doctor in this little town. People started bringing their wounded animals to him, and he got a little reputation for a few weeks for taking care of people's animals. So it was a very animal loving film. It was just dumb and boring. Final thoughts: don't watch the movie. It's dumb and not worth it, and there's no animal cruelty in Clint Eastwood's defense. So all right, anything else anyone wants to say?
Indefensible.
You didn't even see it. You didn't even watch far enough for an animal to be. Not even a horse was introduced as far as you got into it. And he's a washed-up rodeo guy. The little animated horse on the newspaper clip. You saw that horse, and it fell over. So yes, animal cruelty.
I've seen enough to know.
It's more like elderly abuse than animal cruelty in this film.
Dad.
For people letting his family members let him on camera, let him do this project. But no.
Yeah, free Britney and capture Clint.
Oh my gosh, stop.
All right, I'm gonna put those hashtags right here and wrap it up. So anyway, thanks for watching Saints on Cinema. We'll catch you next time on a movie, hopefully that we find more interesting or more diverse to discuss amongst us. Hopefully our whole panel will have watched it when we review it. Anyway, have a good night /day/whatever. We'll talk to you later, and thanks again.